was shot at the side
Okay,
of
we'll
the
take you
road
live
here in
to
the
Vaughan
area
now, where
of
York
Dufferin
Regional
Street and
Police are
Summer Ridge
providing an
Drive in the city
update
of
on the
Vaughan.
shootings we were telling you about. Let's listen in
When
live.
officers arrived, they found a man who had been shot, and this person was transported to hospital, where they shortly after succumbed to their injuries. Been pronounced deceased, and so this is a homicide investigation. Our homicide unit was notified, and they've taken carriage of this investigation. And in the course of looking into things, investigators became aware that there were two people who were found in the city of Toronto who had sustained gunshot injuries. Now, we don't know if this is definitively linked to this shooting, but we are open to the possibility. It is an obvious coincidence, and we're looking into it. But it is early in the investigation, as you can appreciate, and so we have to follow the evidence where it leads and make the determinations when possible. So right now, we are working closely with Toronto Police to establish whether or not the people found in Toronto were connected to the shooting that occurred here. I don't have much more information for you at this time in terms of any other people involved, suspects, or what have you. But I do want to say that we are looking for information from the public. If there's anybody that has information about this crime, please contact us with the information, or if you're a witness and you haven't yet spoken to police, we encourage you to contact us as soon as possible. Or if you have information and you want to provide it anonymously, you can please contact Crime Stoppers to do so. This incident appears to be targeted. So we're not looking at multiple scenes of shootings right now, but we are talking about several people who were found with gunshot injuries today.
What is the obvious link?
Well, right now there is no obvious link to these two things. There's just, it's obviously coincidental that there's a shooting that takes place here, and then a short time after we find out that there are some people with gunshot injuries found in North York, part of Toronto. So we're going to look at whether or not there is a connection, but it's too early to say right now if there is. If we do make that determination, we will make that information available to everybody.
And you can confirm that the shooting happened here, that person who we found here wasn't called off here?
Yes, there was a shooting here. We are absolutely confident that there's a shooting here. There were multiple rounds fired in this area.
And was the other shooting, were the other two people there? Is there a shooting there, or is there a shooting here?
So far, we have no information about another shooting that occurred anywhere else. So the only information we have right now is that a shooting happened here in the city of Vaughan. A person was shot and killed here in Vaughan, and two people with gunshot injuries have been found in Toronto.
One of our reporters this morning spoke to a few neighbors who had gunshot holes in their home and that kind of thing. Are people here in this community being cooperative and helping out?
Yes, I mean, this is a quiet and peaceful community, and this is it's an appalling display of gunfire, and it's really a callous disregard for public safety and for human life. I mean, we have to remember that a human being was killed here today, and that's terrible. And people's houses, this is a residential community, and there were multiple shots fired in this residential community, and that's very disturbing.
This is obviously something that crosses jurisdictions from YRP into TPS. Can you just talk about how the cooperation works there?
Sure. Well, our homicide investigation is taking the lead on our case here, and they're cooperating with the investigators in Toronto to determine the facts of the discovery of the people that were shot in Toronto. And they're going to share the information and see if there's any reason to believe that there is a link and a connection between the two.
Can you tell us about some of the investigative work that is underway, looking for security camera footage and security stuff?
Sure. Well, it's standard in any sort of investigation like this to look for video. So that is something that the investigators are doing and are also asking me to relay to all of you, is if there are any people out there who may have video footage of this incident or any information that could be helpful to this investigation, to please contact our investigators and share that with us so that we can work on solving this crime as quickly as possible.
And at this point, we don't have any ages or any more specifics in terms of people.
Right. As you can appreciate, it's still pretty early in the investigation, and we have a lot of work to do in terms of identifications and going through the facts. So I don't have ages at this point or any other information about the victims or any suspects that may be outstanding. That's all I've got.
We don't know if those victims are suspects themselves or criminal of interest or not.
Well, really, we don't know that right now. So it is early in the case, and we're going to establish these things. And once we do know that, we'll let that information come available.
Was there a weapon found in this scene?
I have no information about any weapons being found. So that's essentially the information that we've got.
Should we
recap again? I had an audio problem.
Sure.
Just give us a summary.
Well, in summary, at 3:45 this morning, York Regional Police received a call for a shooting that occurred here in the area of Dufferin Street and Summer Ridge Drive in the city of Vaughan. And when they arrived, they found a man who had suffered from gunshot injuries. He was transported to hospital where he sadly succumbed to his injuries. So the homicide unit has been notified and they're investigating. And in the course of that investigation, they became aware of the fact that Toronto police discovered some people in North York area who had suffered from gunshot injuries. It's too early to say whether or not it's linked, but we are investigating the possibility and we're working closely with Toronto police to determine what happened. Sure, it's Sergeant Clint Whitney, York Regional Police. All right, that's all I've got for everybody right now. Thanks so much for coming. Okay.
That was a lot of good detail for me.
All right, York Regional Police Officer Sergeant Clint Whitney providing an update on the shooting that we've been telling you about, our breaking news story all morning long, saying that at around 3:45, York Regional Police got a call to the area of Dufferin and Summer Ridge where they found a man with gunshot wounds. He was taken to hospital, and that's where he died. The sergeant says that there were multiple rounds fired in this area, a residential area. And then in North York, in Toronto, 2 people were found with gunshot wounds. Police are still trying to ID the victims, and it's still too early in this investigation to determine whether the 2 cases are connected.